Folks, if you had any doubt whatsoever that the drug industry is not really interested in your welfare, they're interested in the dollar, this particular story should cancel all of your doubts. Cancer drug prices rise 1,400% with no generic to challenge it. Since 2013, the price of a 40-year-old off-patent cancer drug in the United States has risen 1,400%, putting the life-extending medication out of reach for some patients. Introduced in 1976 to treat brain tumors and Hodgkin lymphoma, Lomustine has no generic competition, giving seller NextSource Biotechnology LLC significant pricing power. The Food and Drug Administration is seeking to encourage more competition for drugs like Lomustine, one of at least 319 drugs for which U.S. patents have expired, but which have no generic copies, according to a list the government published earlier this month. The FDA says it will speed up review of any applications to market generic copies of the drugs on its list as part of a broader effort to encourage lower drug prices. An FDA spokeswoman said the agency has received inquiries from several companies about products on the list, but that it is too soon to gauge overall interest in the products. But as the experience with Lomustine shows, attracting generic competition to some older drugs can be hard to pull off. For many years, Lomustine was marketed under the brand name Xenu by Bristol Myers Squibb Company, which charged about $50 a capsule for the highest dose before selling the product in 2013. Now, that same capsule costs about $768 after 9 price increases by a little-known Miami startup, NextSource, which supplies Lomustine in a deal with the drug's new owner, manufacturer Corden Pharma. NextSource, which rebranded the drug as Gliostine, most recently raised the price by 12% in November on the heels of a 20% increase in August, according to analysis drug price tracker Truven Health Analytics and Elsevier performed for the Wall Street Journal. Prices also have increased significantly for other doses of the drug. Robert DeCrissi, chief executive of NewSource, said in a statement, the company bases its pricing on product development costs, regulatory agency fees, and the benefit the treatment delivers to the patient. Well, let's break that down. Product development costs. The product's already developed. Okay, it's full blown. No further development needs to be needed. Regulatory agency fees. Well, we all know that Trump is killing off regulations, so those fees damn sure haven't gone up, and they more than likely have gone down. The benefit the treatment delivers to patients. Well, the benefit is well known, and it is a significant player in the brain cancer field. So they know that they got a winner here. The company provides discounts to uninsured patients and those with financial limitations, he says. Yeah, right. And I hope that they can provide documentation for all the discounts that they provide people with who basically don't have the money to afford the particular drug. And I wonder how long it takes to provide that discount. Is it a discount at the point of sale, or do you have to apply for some kind of a rebate? Anyway, the price hikes after the change in ownership are similar to what some other companies, including Valentia Pharmaceuticals International Inc. and Turing Pharmaceuticals, have done in recent years. Normally, rising prices for a product should attract more competition, but Rena Cote, an assistant professor at the University of Chicago who studies health policy, said generic drug makers have to carefully choose which drugs to make because there can be big entry costs and time commitments associated with obtaining regulatory approval and dedicating manufacturing capacity. There still may be opportunities for entering other markets that would be more enticing to firms than this market, she said. Even for medicines that have a generic version, about 40% have only one generic supplier, according to a study she co-wrote this year. Many of the drugs on the FDA's list are for small patient populations, and companies may decide it isn't worth the investment to sell generic copies, said Chip Davis, president and CEO of Generic Industry Trade Group Association for Accessible Medicines. He said the FDA's steps, however, could entice more companies to enter markets for older drugs. Lomustine isn't widely prescribed. In 2015, the most recent year for which data was available, Medicare Part D prescription benefit plans paid for 1,694 prescriptions in the U.S., according to the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services. But because of the price increase, Part D spending on the drug jumped to about $608,000 in 2015 from $163,000 the year before. The drug has gained renewed interest among oncologists because recent government-funded studies show its use with other chemotherapies can significantly prolong survival in patients with certain brain tumors, said Ashley Summerall, Section Chief of Neuro-Oncology with Carolinas Healthcare System in Charlotte, North Carolina. Some cancer doctors are taking notice of the price hikes. This is simply price gouging, period, said Harry Friedman, a neuro-oncologist and professor of neurology at Duke University. People are not going to be able to afford it, or they're going to pay a lot of money and have financial liabilities. Malika Wint, a clinical pharmacist in Duke's brain tumor clinic, said some of the clinic's patients have opted for less costly medications because they can't afford Lomustine. The doses are based on body weight, and some patients must take multiple capsules, adding to the cost. Even insured patients often have to pay for a portion of their medicines out of pocket. Andrea Gretzer of Denver, North Carolina, said her husband Gary, a patient at Duke, was prescribed Gliostine in September to treat a brain tumor, but a representative from a specialty pharmacy for their Medicare drug benefit plan, Envision RX, told them the out-of-pocket cost would be $2,815 for a 30-day supply. Mrs. Gretzer said Envision RX didn't return a call seeking comment. When Mrs. Gretzer told her husband, he said that was too expensive, she said. He called Duke and the doctor changed the prescription to another drug, Timodar, that was more affordable. We really can't afford the Lomustine, Mrs. Gretzer said. That was the drug of choice. He wouldn't do it. Okay, folks, so bottom line, what happens is these companies develop these drugs, and they get, especially back in the day, and they price them basically, obviously, to cover the cost of developing the drug and everything that went along with it. So back then, the drug was, I'm not going to say relatively cheap, but it was affordable. Now, these drug companies that develop the drugs turn around and sell the patent rights of the drug to another company. Normally a company that's looking to make a fucking killing. That company in turn starts jacking the price on the drug in order to make their money, i.e. their killing, recoup their investment in the purchase of the drug itself, and to turn a profit. Lomustine, okay, presently runs to $768 per capsule. That's the price that the company is charging now in the U.S. I went online and went to a Canadian pharmacy, and guess what? The Canadian pharmacy is charging $796 for 20 capsules, which breaks down to $38.45. And you wonder why more and more people are turning to Canada and Mexico in order to order their drugs. And don't let the propaganda fool you, especially in Canada. The Canadian drugs are just as good as the drugs that you would purchase from a U.S. company. Now, I'm not going to swear up and down about drugs purchased in Mexico, but I will swear up and down about drugs purchased across the northern border. We need to do something about the price gouging on the pharmaceuticals that we pay in this country. And until we get the lobbyists out of Congress that are supporting these drug companies, we're going to see more and more stories like this.